And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren Jaime. Today, we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough in New York City. Coming up, we'll learn about an initiative that's changing the way young people connect with science as well as math, making it hands-on, high energy, and unforgettable. And after that, we'll sit with someone who's transformed their struggle into a memoir of endurance and self-belief. And lastly, we'll talk about how summer camps are shaping a generation of thoughtful, engaged, and inclusive leaders. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channel. Now, you can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on through the past week. We'll take you through it with our Bronx updates. And we kick off with local news. The New York State Regional Food Hub in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx celebrated its official opening with a grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony. Our BronxNet reporter Brittany Schuyler has a story.
In the Hunts Point section of the Bronx, the green ribbon on the New York State Regional Food Hub is officially cut. At 20,000 square feet and spanning 5 floors, this brand new hub is designed to revolutionize how fresh food reaches our communities. The facility will serve as a central distribution point for local farms, ensuring produce gets from the field to the table faster while preserving both freshness and nutritional quality. The hub also boosts the local economy and builds a more sustainable future for all.
We connect upstate farmers to downstate eaters. We bring food in from the farmers, we distribute it to about 200 community partners in our programs, and also anyone who wants to have access to healthy, fresh, local produce.
Elected officials, including Governor Kathy Hochul, Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, and City Council member Rafael Salamanca, joined Grow NYC to officially open the new location. As the Bronx continues to rank last in overall health outcomes across the state, leaders stress that improving access to fresh, organic food isn't just important, it's urgent.
These communities matter to me, and I'm going to continue fighting to make sure they get whatever they need.
With today's environmental and political climate, farmers are under greater threat than ever. But the hub's opening, along with millions in funding secured by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Councilmember Salamanca, and many other electeds, offers a glimpse of hope and progress.
Today, this opening means the world to the community. It shows an opportunity for residents in the South Bronx that they will have affordable access to good quality food.
From farm to table, it's a step toward making sure everyone has a fair shot at something fresh. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler.
And thank you, Brittany. That is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We have more Open when we return.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. 34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
There's a new channel to explore, and it's bringing the classics back to life. During the day, relive the BronxNet originals that sparked conversations and built community. At night, dive into the hip-hop throwbacks that defined the generation. One destination, two powerful lineups. Now playing on Optimum Channel 952, Fios 2138, and streaming at BronxNet.tv. BX Legacy, where history meets the moment.
.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. As classrooms close for a summer break, some students are diving into learning in a whole new way, where math meets music, physics meets roller skates. Now, one groundbreaking program is shaking up the traditional approach to STEM education by kind of like blending it with creativity, movement, and also some culture. Joining me now and sharing more is the founder and CEO of Daley Smith STEM, Joanna Smith. And good to have you, Joanna.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Daren.
Thank you. This is like a unique integration.
It is.
Right.
It is exactly that.
But at the same time, it also helps students, if you will, get into STEM in a unique kind of way.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit.
Sure. So when I was 4, my amazing parents actually started me off by playing piano. And so I have a cute little prop here.
It's a piano and a purse. We're talking about that.
Yeah.
So this is really a purse.
It is really a purse, okay? But I don't want you to miss the point here is that even though it's a purse, so power to the woman in engineering as well.
Right.
But the music portion, especially playing the piano, was something that got me onto the role of getting into engineering. And I saw music more as like a mathematical equation, like the time signatures, like 1, 2, 3, 4, is a fraction, right? It's a unit of time, kind of like feet or meters, but we're looking at it as we're counting. Not only that, but if you know anything about physics, an A on the piano, the middle A is actually 440 hertz, right? And as you go up an octave, which is about 8 more notes up, then it becomes 880 hertz. So it's moving as the pitch, the numbers are moving as the pitch is moving as well in the same type of sync. And so, you know, that was kind of my intro into STEM and math. And that is how I got into engineering, actually, through music.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, you just took me through a whole course because I swear I went to school, I've been to higher education. I didn't know all that. But for somebody who walks in the door,
Yeah.
an opportunity to really connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
And then and at the same time connect the dots in a way that is, you know, I'll say, I've been using the word unique, right? But at the same time, we're also getting them to a place where this, I'll say this area isn't always highly popular and publicized, but yet and still you're taking them into an uncommon area in a common kind of way.
Right, and I love that you said that because music and math are both universal languages. And sometimes we look at the math portion and it seems a little scary, if you will, but music is always that space where everyone can come together, get to know each other, and then also get into a space that may not be, I guess, as comfortable. Even though we deal with numbers every day, right? That's how we live. That's how we understand and like really are able to thrive in society. And so the music portion for me was very liberating. I remember I had an internship in Wiesbaden, Germany, and we were working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and we went to the house of General Kip Ward. He was a 4-star general, and everybody was so nervous because we were interns, and it was more of like, okay, how do we all get on the same level so we don't feel like he's here and we're here, and like, why are we, in Germany with him? And he had this piano. It was right by the dinner table. And I said, can I play? And I remember I played Total Praise, and that took everybody to this level of equilibrium, and we were there on an engineering internship, right? And so just to see, that very interesting dance between music and math happen again, in another country, and kind of like the marrying of both of those worlds in universal languages is amazing.
How does it play out for students who are actually a part of this workshop? What's a typical day like?
So a typical day looks like students will come in. I usually have my students get drumsticks, and we'll go through the counts for each note. So usually a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, And so once they go through that, they're tapping 1, 2, 3 for their holding. And so they remember the notes, right? And then in the music and math book, the sticker book that I created, it's this equation. So it's like the quarter note, which gets 1 note, plus a triangle, right, which is the missing note or number, equals, let's say, a whole note, which gets 4 counts. So you have 1 plus what equals 4. And we know it's 3, but then they have to fill that in with an actual note, right? And so even though it seems like it's a lot, it's basic once you start to understand how it works. So once they continue to get into that flow, then they can transfer that to playing the piano or playing any instrument, really. And I think that's really a space of empowerment and confidence for them.
In this, you have STEM.
Yeah.
You've got this component, but then also you've got financial literacy.
We do have financial literacy.
So how do you navigate all of this, and how do you navigate this in the student's life to a place where they walk away, they've got the STEM, but then at the same time they also have financial literacy, but you think financial literacy is utterly important, and then I'm going to ask you to answer that question as to why.
Okay, of course. So in the financial literacy portion, we definitely speak to how to look at, we start with how students make money, right? And when I think about that, we think about entrepreneurship, we think about their 9 to 5s, and then we also consider, I always like to throw in the house, right? So, hey, what about getting a house? How much do you think that costs? How much are you gonna make, during the year? Or how much are you looking to make? What do you think your field of study is going to allot you in terms of a cap, right? So we're looking at 9 to 5, we're looking at entrepreneurship. And when students start to think like that at a young age, they start to recognize some of the pieces that they need to put in place. So like reverse engineering. And I'm talking about students at like 5, 6. Like, I want to be a doctor. I want to make $100,000. So they start thinking in that way. And so why is that important? It's important because students get a head start. When we think about the approach to the program, it's really exposure. So our goal is to expose students to science, tech, engineering, and math in these unconventional or unique ways, right? So that's just a little bit as to how we work both of all the pieces together. It's really a holistic approach to students and their capacity to be confident.
So when I think about science, technology, engineering, and math, it wasn't at the forefront of the mind for a lot of students growing up, right? And we know that you almost have to say, people are like, oh my God, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at engineering, kind of scares me. But you've definitely done a great job in terms of bridging the gap. And when you look at education as a whole right now, talk about the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math is where we're going in the future. I mean, we're talking about AI, we're talking about
It's here now.
other things that are here right now. Right. I mean, it's present, but it's also future.
Yeah.
So for students, I mean, where was the game changer for you in life?
I would say in 8th grade. So in 8th grade, I saw something green sticking out from some asphalt on the road. And then I saw the sign that said men working on the road. Now, mind you, I must give you a background. My mother is a doctor of nursing practice. She was a nurse at the time. And then my dad was into finance, like life insurance and policies. And I remember my sister and I would have to sit in my dad's office outside of the cubicles, and he would give me math problems to do. Like, I was like in 1st grade, okay? And that was my life. And so just fast forwarding to seeing the opening in the road, I went online and typed in men working on the road. Civil engineering popped up, and I knew that was my calling. Really? And I said to myself, this sign is going to say women working on the road. And so, you know, it was etched in my mind. I had already made the decision, so I knew that I was going to be an engineer without equivocation.
You're doing a great job. I'm telling you right now. I mean, I'm learning right now. Just sitting on this is called on-the-job training, as we call it, right?
And that's okay. That's what we're doing.
Cool, right? It's okay to get on-the-job training. But listen, you got a couple things which I'm going to call on the umbrella. Talk to me about the umbrella and how the umbrella fits in all of this.
Right. So this is our umbrella. Okay, it's like the mini umbrella. But the whole point is just looking at the umbrella as a structure. And usually, before we open the umbrella for anything, we don't necessarily think about, you know, the actual shape of the umbrella. Like, why didn't they make it a square? Right. It's kind of this circular type of structure with some other pieces that are supporting it. And then, of course, the one and only, hopefully when it doesn't break, but the piece that keeps it intact, right? Mm-hmm. And so the question was, how did the structure work? Would it be able to work on Mars? Is there a certain wind force that would allow it to collapse? Or why don't the umbrellas collapse based on the rain and the downpour? And so we look into the umbrella as a structure from an engineering standpoint and also just from an ergonomic standpoint as to how this works, okay? So that's one thing about the umbrella, and there's more into it in terms of like X and Y and Z and stuff, but it's just something for students to think about as they take it apart, as they put it together. And that's one thing I think that's really amazing. We're not afraid to take things apart. We're not afraid to put things back together. And so instead of always thinking numbers and plus and you know, multiplying things, it's more of like, how do we make this work and use hands-on training in order to understand the engineering of something.
What's that feeling like seeing the light go off in students who are like, oh my God, you know, yeah.
It is amazing. And I think that is one thing that really had me say, this is something I need to do. Because I recognized that when the lights went off for me, even if it was like, oh wow, I got to play a sheet of music and I understand like what I need to do. I understood what it felt like to be able to solve, you know, a problem algebraically and say, oh wow, this makes sense. So I think for me, even, you know, as an engineer, people say, oh, you're so smart, but it really took me a lot of time and practice in order to understand that thing. My music teacher would tell my mom, she's like, she takes a long time to get it, but when she gets it, right. You know? And so because of that, I have this empathy for students that it may take a little bit longer for them to get it. My you know, the parents of my students always say, you're so patient. And I'm like, yeah, because I know what that felt like to see everybody, you know, quickly get something. And I had to be like taking my time over and over to understand this thing. But the whole point is resilience. And I was talking to someone here earlier, resilience, not giving up, believing in yourself. And that's why this program means so much, because once you understand how things work, once you're able to build it, once you're able to code it, once you're able to, you know, create your own roller skates, which is a structure from scratch, and then get to roller skate, right? So the fitness portion of it, you walk away so much more confident than a student that might just know how to code and that's it. You can speak well, you know, you can articulate, and you can be a leader, whether you want to be up front or if you want to lead from behind.
So for a person out there saying, listen, I want to be a part of this, how do they go about that?
Sure. So our website is Daley Smith stem.org, okay? And it's Daley. And a little bit about that story, that's my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
And Smith is my surname. You know, I grew up with my parents, of course, but it was the power that I was able to see in both of them, and how they felt that education was so important. And, you know, we went to a school out in Katona, and when I went to that school and saw students with horses on their land, and the doors, the gates that would just open up like this, and I said, so what does your mom do? And they said, well, my mom owns all the gyms in Bedford Hills. I said, so they're not going to Manhattan to slave and come back on that train for 3 hours?
Right.
You know, and I think that light bulb, you know, really helped me to see, wow, entrepreneurship, even at that young age, was a seed that was planted for me. And it was also a space where I realized there had to be a level of confidence that you had about yourself. And so when we think about being a part of something like this, you can go ahead and check us out at DaleySmithStem.org. And you will see all the information. We have the STEM program. We have field trips that we do. We actually are going to do an iFly field trip where you fly in that, it's the simulated skydiving. So
Right.
I skydive, I'm a scuba diver, all the things, right?
Oh, you're just the adventurous,
I'm like, you know,
right.
and so when we talk about facing our fears, that's really where I want students to be. I want them, you know, to be able to believe in their talent, in their skill set, and really the purpose that God has put them on this earth for, and then they can move forward and do the things that they need to do without being nervous, live their best life.
So, what word of advice before we go do you have for somebody who's dealing with that whole fear thing? Because I think when people see science, technology, engineering, math, you know, those are things that like immediately overwhelm. Like I was the greatest student in math. Somebody says, oh, well, that's not going to be for me because math isn't my thing. What do you say to them?
I would say take it from where you are. You know, I was watching something on Oprah the other day, and the young woman who was talking about finances and training, she said, just start by saving a quarter for 30 days. And then she said, go ahead and save 50 cents for 30 days. And, you know, sometimes we come in and we say, well, I need to save $1,000 for 30 days. But just a quarter. So it's really not even the perspective of, I need to know how to do this, but let's stay consistent first, right? So if it's that you need to do addition problems for 30 days, and you need to do multiplication problems for 30 days, let's do that. And then you can think about having a mentor or seeking out people who have done it, and you need to understand how you learn and how you like to be taught, right? And so once you understand those particular building blocks, you can do more than amazing things.
I want to tell you it's been great.
Thank you.
Sitting here talking to you,
Daren.
learning a little bit more. I feel like I went to school today. I got a lesson, I got an interview, I got all of that.
I love that.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got to bring you back and talk a little bit more about, you know, what is going on in this world, because it's a lot to unpack, and it's a world that's ever changing, but you bridge the gaps very well.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Daren.
so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, listen, now if you want more information, visit the website, DaleySmithStem.org. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. Guess what? We do have more open coming up right after this. welcome back. Running a marathon, no small feat. Imagine doing it while wrestling with deep self-doubt, fear, and the quiet but relentless voice of imposter syndrome. Well, that's our next guest story, her new memoir, More Than a Tale of Endurance. It's a raw and honest look at what it means to push past your limits, start where you are, and believe you are enough. Joining me now is a social worker and author of Don't Wait, Marie Dunn. And Marie, good to have you.
It is such a pleasure to be here,
It's a pleasure
Daren.
to have you here. I feel like today's show should be about conquering my fears. Like, you know, I mean, this is really.
Exactly.
So when I looked at your story, you know, seeing the fact that you really, you know, this great marathon runner here, but you didn't quite get there because you had some fear that you had to overcome. But yet still you're able to do it, right?
Yes.
And so you've used this as a part of your journey. So tell me, first of all, what made you get into marathon running altogether? I mean,
So, to be honest, it's just curiosity. I was always intrigued with just like, how can a human possibly run 26 miles? And so my mind was like, why not challenge yourself and see how it feels? And that's how I actually got into it, just pure curiosity and just intrigued that someone could actually do that.
right. So you got into it, you said, okay, I'm intrigued, I want to do this. But here comes this component of like, can I do it?
Yes, and that was the really that moment, because it's like I think about it. It looks, because it's so glorified. You see it on TV, and it's like yay. So in my head, I like to say I was between clue and less. I had no idea. All I was focused on was getting to the finish line, but I didn't understand the process to get there. I say to people, I ran 765 miles just to run 26 miles, right? So I think in life, there is process. You can't have process without progress, right?
Right.
And so I had to learn the hard way, because now, okay, yeah, you're running a marathon, but it's not gonna be that easy, right?
Right.
Now the training comes in, right? And like I said in my book, right, life was lifing. I'm a social worker, I am a part-time clinician. I'm also the founder for a nonprofit organization that I started for my dad, and I'm always volunteering, right? And so I had to figure out, how am I gonna build this training in? Because you had to train. And so I start my day at 3:30 in the mornings. That was the only way to do it, because I had to get—
3:30. You go real quick over that. 3:30 in the morning. Go ahead.
I start my day at 3:30 in the morning. And I was saying earlier to someone that was in the studio that my why propelled me. I was compelled, I'm gonna do this. So my why basically grounded me. It's like thinking about building a house.
Right.
You need a foundation. So my why was my foundation. And so I had a commitment. I committed to this process. So how am I gonna do it? My job is not gonna say it's okay for you to start your day later. Life went on. So when I start at 3:30, it gives me enough time to get up, get myself together, go through my morning routine, and also be out the door by 5 a.m. So I have to train, do my runnings, and then get back home, get dressed to be at work for 9 o'clock in the mornings.
And so this process of really going through and training,
Yeah.
and you had to endure self-doubt, but then also, you know, you talked about the ability to be able to push through and persevere.
Yeah.
Right. When did that come about? Because we know when doubt comes, the first thing that comes into us is like, I'm not doing this. But then, you know, there's this the turnkey moment.
Yes.
That turnkey moment for you is when?
The first day I went to the gym, and that was February 23rd. I went into the gym to start my training, and I got on the treadmill. And of course, I'm from the Caribbean, right? And the cold weather, it doesn't sit well with me. And so when I went to the gym that first morning, I was on the treadmill, I think it's like for an hour, and I think I did like probably 1.26 miles. I was deflated. I was devastated. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And so I went back home, and I'm like, okay, baby girl, because I like to be affirming to myself. I said, baby girl, it's going to be okay. Let's try this again. I went back the second morning, and I was like, okay, it's getting somewhere. It's not too bad. But then I said to myself, why don't you go back to what it is that you're used to and that you're comfortable to? And by the way, I was already offended because I was using my brother's gym pass. And of course, when I got there, they had to shout me out, right? Listen, you can't come to the gym without your brother being present. and gave me a whole scolding. So my ego was a little bit bruised, but I was like, later for you. I'll just go into the open air because that's what I'm used to. I'm from the country. We're used to nature and just being out one-on-one with the air and all that stuff. And so I decided to just start training outdoors. And my first day, I laughed so hard. So I connected with Oliver Samuels. He's a profound actor back in Jamaica, comedian. And there's this skit where he was like coming to New York. He didn't even leave Jamaica and he was so fully dressed. So that was sort of me the day I was going out to run because it was snowing. It was frigid. I overdressed. I didn't even have the proper gears then. Because remember, I just decided I'm going to do this. I'm going to start where I'm at. So I overdressed and heat. I almost had a whole heat stroke, but I did 8 miles. Amazing. My first try in the cold, in the snow, I ran 8 miles.
And you're here today to tell the story, right?
Yes, I am.
And it wasn't an easy story, but
it's not easy.
But I know that in your work, you have this acronym that's called BOLD, right?
Yes.
And that's in the book, but it's also a part of your daily mantra.
Absolutely.
For somebody who doesn't know what BOLD means, give us the acronym.
Absolutely. Brilliantly overcoming life's disappointments. In life in itself is we're going to have challenges, we're going to have setbacks, but it's not what you do with what happened to you. It's how you're able to navigate when those challenges comes up. And I think for me throughout my entire life, and this is the opening in my book, Resurrection, I had a near-death experience in 1996 where the doctors pretty much, they had no medical explanation. And they literally told my parents to go home, make funeral arrangements. And so in that moment, my sister, and faith comes into play a lot with my family as well. And she recalled coming in to the ICU that next day, and pretty much they told her that they were like preparing my body for the morgue. And she said, she started talking to me because I love food. And she said to me, if you wake up, I will make you ackee and saltfish, that's our national dish, with dumplings for the rest of your life. And she said she saw a tear drop. And she screamed for the doctors and they came. So I'm a miracle in itself. So when you really think about life, we are not excluded from having challenges, but it's about your mind. You change your mind, you change your life, because it's all possible. So when you talk about the self-doubt, and when the imposter syndrome, like thinking I'm a fraud, thinking I'm not good enough, I had to talk myself through that. So it's the positive self-talk, the affirmations, and consistently remind myself I'm good enough. Like I say, my bracelets, I got this. I talk myself through things and tell myself it's okay.
Imposter syndrome is real. I want you to share with me, we've got some books that you've written and the opportunity to get some of our viewers connected to these books here.
Absolutely. So folks may think I'm a first-time author, but I'm actually a 6-time author. So don't wait. This is the new book that's actually out. It's about overcoming your fears and fighting through resilience. And also there's an alter ego, Toya J. And she is this woman who like literally walked me through this marathon as well. She was actually my trainer because Toya doesn't think that anything can. She is beyond life and she thinks you can do it. So this is basically, it's more on the romance side, erotica, and pretty much it's about love. It's universal. We get our hearts break. How do we overcome? Right. So, and then we have tease, again, another erotica, and we have journal. So my 99 plus inspiring thoughts, because journaling is also a tool that I use to help me navigate my challenges. I created my own journal. Bold soul searching monologues, it's all about looking deep within, because everything that we're looking for, change starts within. It's internal, not external. Right. And then Bold, which is my very, very first book, Bold Her Liberation, that I created when I was in a really difficult time. I got injured on the job. I was assaulted. And I used bold writing to get me through those depressive times. And everything can be found on my website, www.beboldtoya.com.
So when I think about your life, I think about the fact that here you are, this marathon runner now, right? And then at the same time, you've had life is lifing, right?
Yes, life is lifing.
Near-death experiences, and then yet and still, you find the time to be the author, you find the time to train, you work this out. To the average person, this is like a lot going on. But you're able to maintain a healthy and a plentiful balance.
Absolutely.
How does one do this? I mean, you got a lot going on here. Go ahead.
It's easy. Don't overthink things. Oftentimes we put so much pressure, and then also we think about society, the societal pressure. I don't do that. I live my life on my terms, right? And I do what makes me happy, what sets my soul on fire. And so if you have gotten to the space where you're healed, where you're not seeking validation from anyone else, it's so much easier. And I think I also educate myself a lot. So David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. He is just my guy because I think he's such an inspiration in my life because he's able to do it. So why can't I? It's about how you see yourself. And for me, pain is my motivation. Like I just finished my ultra marathon. So I didn't get to the 50 mark, but I was able to do 41.28 miles, lost the toenail. I had to literally go to the doctor and get it surgically removed, my toenail. But it's okay. The toenail is gonna come back, right? So don't sit and think about what's not working. I focus on, I live in gratitude. So if we change the way our perception of how we're looking at our life and stop saying, I can't do this. You start exactly where you are. Perfection, it doesn't exist. That's an illusion. Stop. Start right this minute. You want to be an author? Every single day, commit to 5 minutes. You start 5 minutes and you just write whatever comes to mind. You just have to start. And once you start, the universe will really conspire to get you to where you need to.
Marathons. I want to go back for a minute because as you talk about running and losing your toenail, I'm like, oh my God! But now you ran a couple, and what's your favorite one?
Absolutely, I love the ultra marathon.
Okay.
I love the ultra marathon because, again, you make preparation, you have your plan. So I had my playlist, figured it out, but it was in Rockland County, and the reception was poor. So guess what? I had no music.
No.
I ran my 41 miles in silence. And because I practice, so everything that you do, it takes practice. Daily steps you take. And so I was able to do my 41 miles in silence.
No moment of panic when there's no music?
No, I was because I trained myself that way.
Right.
Because I think for me, every time I go to do any run, I execute how I trained myself. So I'm always prepared.
So what's next, Marie?
What's next? I'm going to go back next year to finish that 50 miles, and I may challenge myself and do 100 miles. And my goal also, it's separate from running, skydiving. I'm in the process of learning to skydive by myself. So I'm going to do some jumps this summer. So
Really?
I'm excited.
Yeah. This is the show, like, release your fears, just go for it. I mean, just science, technology, engineering, math, just jump out of buildings, jump out of planes, buildings, whatever. I mean, I feel empowered right now. Yeah. Ask me tomorrow how I feel, I'll let you know. But I feel empowered right now. What advice do you have? I was talking earlier, talk about advice, and what advice do you have for somebody? Because obviously your story is a story of resilience, right? And it's required in this journey. So what advice do you have for people who are really just going through it right now and resilience seems like, so far away?
So I don't like the word advice, I like recommendation.
There you go.
So don't overthink it and reach out and connect to others, people who mean well for you. And within that journey, you have to stop because only you can change you. It doesn't matter if you go to a therapist, it doesn't matter. Healing starts with you and it's within. So you're gonna acknowledge what it is that you need to do differently. Once you've acknowledged that, then you start planning. Planning is key. If you don't have a plan, you ain't getting anywhere, right? And then the third one is to execute it. You could always sit here and talk about, I wanna do this. If you're thinking about it and you don't have the action behind it, it doesn't make sense. So be true to who you are. Once you're acknowledging it, you commit to it, make a plan, execute.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Marie, thank you so much. You're an inspiration.
Thank you.
You do some great work, and certainly I want people to get connected to your books. And then she's also a social worker, so she can help you through. I need you to understand that. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
All righty, listen, now if you want more information, visit the website at beboldtoya.com. Tell you, don't go anywhere. Guess what? We got more open coming up right after this.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
And welcome back. As the school year ends and summer's actually beginning, kids and teens, well, they can finally unplug and reset. Summer camps like those organized by the Union for Reform Judaism offer more than just outdoor fun. They provide spaces for young people to build confidence, form friendships, and then also develop community, as well as learning empathy and kindness. And joining me now to discuss this is the Vice President of Camps at the Union for Reform Judaism, Ruben Arquilevich, and we thank you so much for being with us, Ruben.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss something so important to all of us.
Well, you know, summer's that respite for students. They're really looking forward to the opportunity to get outdoors, but at the same time, be outside that non-academic environment, and you do that. You provide an opportunity for students to be able to have a camp experience that is somewhat different than the traditional.
We do, absolutely. We end up serving 12,000 youth and young adults in these immersive, really unbelievably nurturing, kind, sacred environments.
How do you go about preparing for this season?
So we have an incredible team of professionals and volunteers who spend all year preparing for this season, training, coaching, orienting hundreds and hundreds of our staff to create a world of kindness and compassion and empathy and care for the thousands of youngsters whose lives we help shape and who help shape our lives.
And when we talk about shaping lives, you're shaping lives in a way that really deals with emotional, mental, psychological. And when you do that, that part right now in this day and age, very key, very crucial. I mean, we're living in the midst of war, rumors of war, a whole lot of things that are out there, but yet and still you settle students down in a way that allows them to really be able to be at peace and live at peace.
Absolutely. It's one of the great gifts of camp. And I believe that our world and our young people and our from our children, our teens, our young adults, the adults, the parents themselves, we all need camp. Camp is such a healing experience. And one of the main terminologies we use for all this is MESH: mental, emotional, social, spiritual health and wellness. And we create that peaceful community, communities of belonging, nurturing, care, and healing, which can really be an incredible antidote to so much of what everyone is dealing with in the world these days. And especially young people have so many pressures in their lives, academic pressures, extracurricular pressures. When they come to camp, we look at every child and every young adult literally with these incredible Jewish values of, in Hebrew, it's B'Tselem Elohim. It's the idea that everyone is created in a divine image, all human beings. And we are really looking at just the heart and soul of every person, not what kind of grades they got during the year, not how well they did in their sporting event or their extracurricular arts event. It's really diving into the shared humanity of us all. And camp creates that unbelievable spiritual oasis for everybody.
Well, I know the word diversity isn't a hot word these days, but I know that part of your camp honors that really diversity and diversity in a special way. Talk to me about that component.
Absolutely, absolutely. Regardless of what the rest of the world is saying about this, that is one of our essential core values, to create as big of a big tent environment as possible, to welcome everybody, regardless of race, even though our camps are Jewish, regardless of religion, regardless of faith. Certainly our camps are places of living, breathing Jewish values. But we are there to welcome young people, children, teens, and adults from all backgrounds. And the terminology we embrace and we love is ready. So racial diversity, inclusion, and equity. And it is something that is core to who we are and what we do every moment. It's a core value that drives everything that we do.
Yeah. Diversity is definitely in order, and it should still always be on the table. One of the things that is uncommon, if you will, is your camp has a unique approach. Jonathan Haidt writes this book. It's called The Anxious Generation. Talks about how so many of our young people are linked into technology and the harmful effects of technology and the way that it goes. And it's being so connected. You've got something where you're talking about really being unplugged and unplugging campers from technology, doing something in a different direction, and taking that creative energy and putting it in a different kind of place.
Absolutely. It's another incredible gift and blessing of having young people and everybody around them spend 2, 4, 8 weeks away, immersed 24/7 in these incredible communities of belonging where they're interacting face to face. And there is just no substitute for creating community, creating friendship, creating lifelong bonds. And there's something that happens when thousands of people come together to live in these communities 24/7. They end up sharing each other's stories, their yearnings, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their anxieties. They can build really deep relationships and really empathize with each other through vulnerability and being together. And while certainly the world of Zoom and technology allows for some important interaction all the time, we also know that it's a source of strain and stress. At camp, unplugging from the 24/7 iPhone and instead plugging into each other's hearts and souls and into the sky and into the beauty of people being together in community, celebrating the best of life.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said for when you can spend that kind of time. You can spend that kind of time. There's two things that happen. Number one, as you talk about, there's that community aspect, but then also the opportunity for that person, that individual, really to find their identity, because sometimes you're scrolling through in hopes of trying to identify or self-identify, but the reality is that here it is. you can identify, find out your identity, create a better identity in spaces and places such as a camp like yours. And so I want to hear from you about that, because when people leave from your experience, what is some of the takeaways that you're hearing from people who are involved in camp?
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest takeaways I've heard for decades in this work is that when our young people, including our young adults, spend their summers and their years in our URJ camps, there's this line they always use, and the line is that we fell in love. And what I mean by that is they say we fell in love with our Jewish identity again. Camp is a place where, by providing this nurturing, joyful, living Jewish environment, it immediately creates a deep, deep love and connection to identity, as you were talking about. And we also started the conversation talking a little bit about how campers and staff discover and celebrate their best selves. And so we think about our best selves for our camps. The core mission is this Jewish journey, and how this Jewish journey helps strengthen not only Jewish life, but all of humanity, the whole world. And so for these young people to come to camp and really lean into discovering their best self, and discovering and rediscovering and embracing and loving their Jewish identity, their Jewish heritage, and how that to the rest of the world is an unbelievable gift, and it's at the heart of our purpose, our mission.
If someone asks you, what's a typical day like, or what's, and I know all camps are different, but there are some core components. What's a day like in the life of a camper?
So it depends on the age group, but I would say basically, kids wake up anywhere from, I would say 7 to 8 o'clock, except maybe the first couple of mornings where the little kids get up at sunrise, and counselors, of course, just love that. Groups of campers and staff will wake up, and many times they'll go and have like a morning song or two, some prayer, some worship, some gratitude for the sun rising and the sky being blue. Then they'll go down and have breakfast. Meals are a big part of camp. It's 3 hours a day of hundreds, if not thousands, of people being together in these incredibly beautiful, dynamic dining hall experiences. The kids will have a nutritious, enjoyable meal. The meal is usually also filled with what we call ruach, which means spirit, singing, prayers, a lot of social interaction. And then there'll be usually 2 or 3 hours of different activities. They could be social, cultural, recreational, everything from hiking and nature to the arts to sports, science, technology, the arts, all sorts of recreational, social, cultural activities. Then the groups will go and have lunch. Following lunch, camp groups usually will go have what's called a rest hour. They'll go take an hour or so and just relax in their cabins, take a nap, read a book. And followed by, again, another few hours of activities in the afternoon. Many times that'll include swimming when it's warmer. Then followed by dinner. And then after dinner is usually group program activities. It could be a talent show. It could be a campfire. It could be a scavenger hunt. And weave throughout there is some opportunities for reflection, meditation, prayer, worship, and then groups end up the evening with what we call closing circles, where groups can really express gratitude for the day, get ready for the evening and the night, have a wonderful night's sleep, and then get ready to do the magic all over again.
Awesome. And the takeaway, what do you feel students take away after having this experience?
The takeaways are profound friendships, profound mentors and new heroes in their lives, people who, because of that summer experience, will be on their journey through life. Another takeaway is a reinvigorated pride in oneself, in our tradition, in our heritage, in our faith, and in our values. And another big takeaway is optimism and resilience. When people's souls are filled up in this way, they're more prepared to go back into the rest of the world and be kinder, empathetic, caring people working for more justice and equity and more love and sustainability in the world.
For somebody that's out there saying, listen, I know summer's already upon us. Maybe I can get my child in. Maybe I can get my youngster in. Is there still time on the clock?
There is. Some of our camps are at capacity, and some of our camps still can accommodate more youth. And I certainly encourage any parents, grandparents, anybody out there who's interested to reach out, and we could begin the conversation and go from there.
Ruben Arquilevich, has been great having you, and really, honestly, great work that's going on, really helping young people unpack life at a very critical time. And I think everybody needs to unplug and get away. You're providing that for your students and those who are your campers, and I salute you for it, because it's definitely much needed in a time like this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All righty. Well, we want to let you know, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at urj.org. We come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast right here on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files at Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Rita Valentine, my girl, on Friday, Miss Cafe con Leche. That wraps up this episode for us. I am Daren Jaime. Says, listen, be sure to keep this channel wide open. We say take care. God bless. Daren Jaime say see you later.